Apple dropped a bombshell on us today and didn't even have a keynote to announce 3 new machines. Well, sort of machines. The Mac Mini was updated to M2 and M2 Pro. Well, they also kind of mentioned that the M2 Pro and the M2 Max chips are out. No big deal. The MacBook Pros have been updated, both the 14 and the 16-inch, to M2 Pro and M2 Max. In my opinion, these are all just slightly better incremental changes. If you didn't have a MacBook Pro or a Mac Mini before, yes, these are great, especially because they haven't changed the price. The Mac Mini, that Mac Mini is a good price, I'm telling you. Check it out. You can choose now between the M2 and the M2 Pro chips inside your Mac Mini. Of course, the prices are vastly different. In fact, if you take that M2 Pro Mac Mini with 10-core CPU and 16-core GPU, that's a very nice machine. You can upgrade that to 19-core GPU, by the way, for an extra 300 bones. 32 gigs of RAM. Now, unfortunately, it still doesn't go up to 64 or 96 like you can get in the MacBook Pro. I think that's probably a limit self-imposed by Apple to keep things kind of separated. They have the Mac Studio if you want more RAM. The Mac Mini is a powerful machine, but wait, you can't have that RAM because we've got the Mac Studio to sell you. So that's what I think it's all about. However, if you pick out and max this thing out to 8 terabytes, you're in Mac Studio M1 Ultra territory right now at $4,400. I ordered one of these, the small one, for $599, which I think is an amazing deal. Yes, it has only 8 gigabytes of memory, and yes, if you were to actually get one, and if I were to actually get one for myself, I would at least upgrade it to 16, and I'd recommend you actually get 1 terabyte, and that brings you to $1,200, which is still pretty good. Now, what's also new here is the 10 gigabit gigabit Ethernet, so you can pay $100 extra, get that speed if you really need it. And if you order that right now, January 26th is when it's gonna arrive here, and I live in the Washington, D.C. area. Keep an eye out for that. If you do any kind of customizations, it's gonna be a little bit longer, but not too long. The latest I've seen was February 3rd, and that's if you pick that MacBook Pro and the 16-inch variety with the M2 Max chip in it. I'm just showing you basically what I did and what I ordered. So I got that one. I went with 64 gigs of RAM because that's a direct replacement for my M1 Max MacBook Pro, and 2 terabytes of storage. When you order that, it's $4,299, $4,300. Doesn't roll off the tongue very easily. It's expensive, is what I'm trying to say. Doesn't roll off the tongue or out of the wallet very easily. But that comes in at February 3rd delivery time, and that's the latest I've seen. I wonder if you customize your machine, what's the latest date you see in the region where you are at? Is this even available in your region? Let me know in the comments down below. Of course, there's the 13-inch. They're still selling that with the M2 chip. Don't buy that. 14-inch is a pretty good deal for those that don't require that large screen, but I do like the 16-inch screen. Gotten used to it. It's not that big. Don't make that joke. Anyway, what was I saying? All these are incremental updates, slightly better than the previous generation. How much better? Well, let's take a look at this. This is their 18-minute announcement drop. Instead of a keynote and an event, they decided, hey, we'll just release a video. Probably because they have something else coming at the end of January, but this is not a rumor channel, so I'm not even going to talk about that. M2, they're comparing it probably to the M1. We've got 18% faster CPU, faster GPU by 35%, 40% faster neural engine, up to 24 gigabytes of RAM. So we already know this because, well, the M2s came out in 2022 with the MacBook Air and the aforementioned 13-inch MacBook Pro with the M2 chip. Let's take a look at the specs of the new M2 Pro. All right, so here we've got a 19-core GPU. It goes up to 38 cores in the maxed out version of the M2 Max. Here's that fancy schmancy sheet that they show, infographic I should say. We've got a 12-core CPU, 2 more cores, these are the efficiency cores, 19-core GPU. We're still on the 5nm technology, but it's G2, the second generation of 5nm. Is that better? I don't know. Only Apple knows these things, folks. Don't listen to the rumors. Heck, the way things are going right now, maybe Apple doesn't even know when that stuff is coming. They're moving factories from country to country. For software engineers, most of us, this is all overkill. We don't need this stuff. Come on, folks. Now, there are caveats to that. If you're doing any kind of game development with Unity or Blender rendering, video editing, a lot of us are getting into content creation. This stuff doesn't matter for us. So it does improve the workflows, it does improve our efficiency and speed. But for most software developers, an M1 MacBook Air is just fine. I'm getting off on a tangent. Let's continue. 40% faster neural engine. I'm gonna have to test that out here on the channel, so subscribe if you're not already. Let's keep going here. So both of those chips, the M2 and the M2 Pro, are now gonna be in the Mac Mini, which I think is a really incredible buy. Still, it's the best value machine out there. Of course, you gotta add keyboard, mouse, and monitor yourself, but you probably already have one. Now here is the M2. Look how tiny it is and cute. The M2 Max is 3 times bigger, and it's quite a bit bigger than the M1 Max. Now what is really nice is the 400 gigabyte per second memory bandwidth. Since both the memory and the CPU and the GPU all live on the same SoC now, they can get those really fast speeds between memory, the GPU, and the CPU, which is what makes all this so great. This is what makes Apple Silicon so much faster than the competition. It's also the ARM-based architecture. So don't kill me in the comments, folks. I know. Watch the rest of this Apple announcement. It's on Apple's YouTube channel, 18 minutes long. I'm just trying to cut to the chase here. What's important here for us? Well, they claim that the compilation time in Xcode is going to be 25% faster on these M2 Pro chips than the M1 Pro chips. We're going to test that. 2.5 times faster than the Core i9 chips. And here's the M2 Max infographic. 96 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, 20% faster CPU, 30% faster GPU, a 16-core neural engine. They don't mention build times in Xcode here for some reason for the M2 Max, which is, you know, I'll be testing that out. Make sure you subscribe. And of course, there's some other general updates here. We've got a longer battery life, 22 hours. Does that mean they increased the battery size or they increased the efficiency? I carry my M1 Max MacBook Pro around everywhere and never bring my charger with me. I never run out of battery. This is 21 hours, that one's 22. I don't see that extra hour really helping me. If I use my MacBook for 21 hours and I still don't have a charger, I don't know, maybe it'll save my life. Who knows? HDMI 2.1. It's not in this infographic, but it's supposed to have HDMI 2.1, the new standard for HDMI. You can drive 4 4K monitors out of this thing, which is incredible. That's a lot of throughput. And Wi-Fi 6E is on this new one. Hey, faster Wi-Fi. That's great. I'd say the best value here is that Mac Mini. Still trying to sell my Mac Studio. Nobody's buying it because it's so expensive. But that Mac Mini looks pretty delicious. Anyway, more testing to come. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.